What if I told you that the secrets to financial success, the very same principles that multimillionaires live by, are hidden in a book you've probably had sitting on your shelf for years? The Bible. Yes, that ancient text holds timeless wisdom, not just for the soul, but for creating true wealth. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract abundance effortlessly, while others struggle their entire lives? Is it really luck, or is there a deeper, spiritual knowledge at play? Multimillionaires, whether they openly admit it or not, follow principles rooted deeply in biblical teachings. Could the key to unlocking your financial freedom be hidden in a verse you've skimmed over 1,000 times? In Proverbs 3 verses 9 to 10, we see the foundation of true prosperity. Honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. Then your barns will be filled to overflowing, and your vats will brim over with new wine. What does that mean for us today? What does it mean to honor God with your resources in a world where wealth is measured in numbers, but real abundance is far more than just dollars and cents? And here's something to think about. Why do those who give generously, who manage their wealth with purpose, always seem to receive more in return? What's the connection between faith, generosity, and financial success? Could it be that giving opens a divine flow of abundance? Think about the multimillionaires who dedicate portions of their wealth to causes that uplift communities, feed the hungry, and spread goodness. Do they know something we don't? Could their wealth be multiplying not just because of strategic investments, but because they're tapping into a higher principle, one that's been laid out in Scripture for centuries? As we continue, ask yourself this. How would your life change if you began to align your financial decisions with ancient biblical wisdom? What kind of abundance might you unlock by doing so? Now, let's dive deeper. How often do we think about our wealth as something sacred? When we talk about prosperity, we often imagine luxury, security, and abundance. But could it be that true prosperity begins when we shift our mindset from seeing wealth as just material gain to something much more meaningful? Proverbs 3 verses 9 to 10 reveals a powerful secret. Honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. Then your barns will be filled to overflowing, and your vats will brim over with new wine. But what does it really mean to honor God with our resources today? And how does this ancient wisdom apply in our modern world of endless opportunities and challenges? Imagine this. What if every dollar you earned was more than just currency? What if it were a seed that could grow into something far greater than you ever imagined, if only you planted it in the right soil? How do multimillionaires think about their wealth? Could it be that the wealthiest among us have already figured out that the purpose of money goes beyond personal gain? That the more they honor a higher purpose with their resources, the more abundance seems to flow into their lives? Honoring God with your resources isn't just about charity or donations. It's about something much deeper. It's about recognizing that everything you have, no matter how small or large, is part of a grander design. Have you ever stopped to think about how your money is connected to something larger than yourself? How every decision you make with it can either bring you closer to abundance or further away? What if the true secret to financial freedom isn't in hoarding wealth but in dedicating it to a higher cause, a cause bigger than your own desires? Now, picture this. You begin your day not thinking about how much you can accumulate but about how much you can contribute. How much of your wealth are you willing to place in the hands of God, trusting that in doing so, you're opening the doors to unimaginable prosperity? Doesn't it seem counterintuitive? Yet, time and time again, we've seen that the more people give, the more they seem to receive in return. Why is that? Is there something miraculous at work when you give with an open heart, when you use your resources to honor something beyond yourself? Let's go a little deeper. Do you remember a time when you felt the most fulfilled in your life? Was it when you achieved a personal financial goal? Or was it when you gave, helped someone, or supported a cause that meant something to you? Could it be that our deepest fulfillment, and perhaps our greatest wealth, comes not from what we keep but from what we give away? And if that's true, doesn't it change everything we've been taught about money? Think about the multimillionaires who give generously, who honor God with their wealth. They build hospitals, schools, shelters. They support the arts, science, and education. They're not just growing their personal fortunes, they're expanding the world around them. How do you think their wealth continues to multiply? Could it be that by planting their financial seeds in the fertile soil of purpose, they've tapped into a divine principle that multiplies their returns in ways we can't even begin to understand? Let's be honest. Most of us are conditioned to think of money in terms of scarcity. We hold on tightly, afraid that if we let go, there won't be enough left. But what if the opposite were true? What if the more you trust in the act of giving, the more your barns will be filled to overflowing, as Proverbs promises? What if this is the key that multimillionaires have discovered and that we've been overlooking all along? Here's a question for you. Are you honoring God with your wealth right now? And if not, what's holding you back? Is it fear? Is it doubt? Do you worry that if you give away what you have, there won't be enough left for you? But what if that fear is the very thing blocking the abundance that's meant to flow into your life? What if the act of honoring God with your resources, no matter how small those resources may seem right now, is the key to unlocking true, lasting prosperity? Let me ask you this. What would your life look like if you stopped chasing money and instead focused on creating value, on giving, on contributing? What if you trusted that as you honor a higher purpose with your wealth, the universe would respond in kind, multiplying your efforts in ways you never dreamed possible? It's not easy to shift our thinking about money. We live in a world that constantly tells us we need more, that we should keep striving, keep accumulating. But what if the Bible has been telling us all along that the secret to abundance lies in the opposite direction? Could it be that the first step toward financial freedom is letting go of the need for control and trusting in something greater than yourself? What if you took that first step today? You might be wondering, how do I honor God with my wealth when I barely have enough to get by? But remember, it's not about how much you give, it's about the heart behind it. Multimillionaires who follow these biblical principles don't wait until they have enough to start giving. They start where they are, knowing that in doing so, they're aligning themselves with a higher law of abundance. Could this be the key to transforming your financial reality, no matter where you are right now? Think about the difference it could make in your life. Think about the freedom that comes with releasing the need to control everything, the peace that comes from knowing that you're a part of something bigger. When you honor God with your resources, you're not just planting seeds for your own prosperity, you're contributing to the prosperity of the world around you. And when you do that, the Bible promises that your barns will be filled to overflowing. Are you ready to step into that kind of abundance? So, let me ask you again, are you ready to honor God with your wealth? Are you ready to trust that as you do, your life will be filled with more than you could ever imagine? Remember, the journey to prosperity doesn't start with the amount of money in your bank account. It starts with the condition of your heart. Now, let's move into another powerful principle that multimillionaires understand better than most: consultation and collaboration. Here's a question for you. Do you believe success is something you have to achieve on your own? How often have you found yourself pushing through challenges alone, thinking, I can do this if I just work hard enough? But what if that belief is the very thing keeping you from the breakthrough you've been praying for? The Bible, in Proverbs 15 verse 22, reveals something profound. plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors they succeed. Think about that for a moment. What if your plans are failing not because you're not working hard enough, but because you're not seeking wise counsel? Could it be that the secret to unlocking the next level of your success lies in the relationships you cultivate, in the people you choose to surround yourself with? Multimillionaires understand this principle deeply. They don't build their wealth in isolation. They surround themselves with the best minds, the best advisors, the best partners. And here's the kicker. It's not just about having people around you. It's about having the right people around you. Have you ever wondered why some partnerships thrive while others crumble? Why do some individuals skyrocket to success, while others with just as much talent and potential seem to fall short? Could it be that the difference lies in who they choose to collaborate with? Proverbs 15 verse 22 doesn't say, "Some plans fail," or "A few plans fail." It says, "Plans fail, period, when we lack counsel." And it's not just about asking for advice, it's about asking the right people for advice. So, let me ask you, who do you turn to when you need guidance? Are you surrounding yourself with people who lift you up, who challenge you to think bigger, who push you toward your greatest potential? Or are you trying to do it all alone, thinking that asking for help is a sign of weakness? Here's another question. When was the last time you collaborated on something that felt bigger than you? When you joined forces with someone whose vision and values aligned with yours? You see, the most successful individuals don't just collaborate for the sake of it. They choose their partners carefully. They understand that the right collaboration can multiply their efforts tenfold, while the wrong one can drain their energy and resources. Let's look at it from a different perspective. Imagine a multimillionaire launching a new business venture. Do you think they go it alone, relying solely on their knowledge and expertise? Or do they bring in other experts, people who can offer different insights, different strategies, different strengths? The answer is obvious. Success, especially the kind of success that multiplies and sustains itself, is a team effort. And the Bible has been teaching this principle for thousands of years. It's about leaning into the power of community, of seeking advice, of collaborating with others who bring out the best in you. But here's something interesting to think about. Collaboration isn't just about finding people who agree with you. Some of the best collaborations happen when we surround ourselves with people who challenge us, who offer different perspectives, who see things in ways we might never have considered. Multimillionaires understand that growth often comes from discomfort, from being willing to listen to ideas that might initially make us uncomfortable. Do you have people in your life who push you in that way? Who challenge you to think bigger, to step outside of your comfort zone? Imagine for a moment what it would look like if you approached your goals with the mindset of a multimillionaire. What if, instead of trying to achieve everything on your own, you began to actively seek out partnerships, collaborations, and counsel from those who've walked the path before you? What if you trusted that your breakthrough might not come from working harder, but from working together? Could this be the missing piece in your journey to abundance? Consider this. The most successful companies in the world are built not by a single individual but by a team, by a collaboration of brilliant minds, each contributing their unique gifts. Even when we look at the lives of biblical figures, we see this principle at work. Moses had Aaron, David had Jonathan, Jesus had his disciples. None of them walked their journey alone, and neither should you. Here's another powerful question for you. Are you open to the possibility that someone else could be the key to your next level of success? Are you willing to admit that you don't have to have all the answers, that sometimes the wisdom you need lies in someone else's perspective? That's what Proverbs 15 verse 22 is all about. Opening yourself up to the guidance, the counsel, and the wisdom of others. It's about recognizing that true success is a shared journey, not a solitary one. Think about the partnerships that have transformed industries. Think about Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, who together built one of the most valuable companies in the world. Think about Oprah Winfrey and her team, who helped her become one of the most influential figures of our time. None of these individuals did it alone. They understood the power of collaboration, of surrounding themselves with people who complemented their strengths and helped bring their vision to life. But let's get personal for a moment. What about your life? Where are the opportunities for collaboration that you might be overlooking? Are there people in your circle right now who could help you achieve your goals faster, smarter, better? Or maybe you need to expand your circle, seek out new mentors, new partners, new friends who can bring fresh ideas and perspectives into your life. What would happen if you opened yourself up to those possibilities? The Bible makes it clear, success comes when we seek wise counsel and collaborate with others. But it's not just about success in business or finances. This principle applies to every area of our lives. Whether it's building a family, a career, or even a personal dream, we're designed to thrive in community, to grow through the wisdom and support of others. So, why do we so often try to do it all on our own? Imagine what could change if you fully embraced this principle. What if your biggest breakthrough is waiting on the other side of a conversation you haven't had yet? A partnership you haven't formed yet? A piece of advice you haven't received yet? The Bible tells us that with many advisors, plans succeed. So, what are you waiting for? Could the key to unlocking your greatest potential be as simple as asking for help, seeking out collaboration, and surrounding yourself with the right people? As you reflect on this, ask yourself, what would it look like to bring the right people into your journey? How much more could you accomplish if you stopped trying to go it alone and instead leaned into the power of collaboration? The answers might just surprise you, and they might be closer than you think. Let's shift gears for a moment and talk about something that most people misunderstand completely: leverage. When you hear the word leverage, what comes to mind? Maybe you think of it in terms of power or influence, or perhaps in the financial world, where leverage often refers to using borrowed money to amplify gains. But here's a question: could leverage be the secret that separates those who build true, lasting wealth from those who struggle just to get by? And could it be that the Bible has been teaching us this principle all along? In Proverbs 22 verse 7, there's a warning: the rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. Now, on the surface, this might seem like a caution against debt, and in many ways, it is. But there's another layer here, one that multimillionaires understand. It's the idea that leverage, when used responsibly and strategically, can become a powerful tool for building wealth. So, let me ask you, are you using leverage in your life, or are you being used by it? The difference between these two can mean the difference between financial freedom and financial bondage. Think about this. The wealthiest individuals in the world don't just rely on their own resources. They understand the power of using other people's money, other people's time, and other people's skills to multiply their impact. But here's the catch: they don't do it recklessly. They use leverage strategically, always mindful of the risks. And that's the key. It's not about taking on debt just for the sake of it. It's about understanding when and how to use leverage to unlock greater opportunities. Let's break this down further. Imagine you're trying to lift a massive boulder. By yourself, it seems impossible, too heavy, too big, too overwhelming. But with the right lever, suddenly that massive weight becomes manageable. You're still doing the work, but you're using the power of leverage to multiply your efforts. Now, apply this to your finances. How are you lifting your financial boulders? Are you trying to do everything with just your own two hands? Or are you finding ways to use leverage to make the task easier, more effective, more impactful? Multimillionaires understand this concept intimately. They use leverage not just to grow their wealth, but to protect it. They understand that money, when properly leveraged, can be a tool for growth, but when misused, it can become a trap. So, here's another question for you. How are you leveraging your time, your money, your relationships? Are you using them to multiply your potential, or are you stuck in a cycle of trying to do everything on your own? Think about the people who have built empires from nothing. They didn't do it by relying solely on their own resources. They knew when to seek out investors, when to partner with others, when to take calculated risks to expand their businesses. They used leverage, and they used it wisely. But here's the critical difference. They didn't let leverage control them. They didn't become slaves to the lender, as Proverbs warns. Instead, they used leverage to take control of their financial destinies. Let me ask you, what would happen if you started thinking like a multimillionaire when it comes to leverage? What if, instead of fearing debt or risk, you began to see it as a tool that, when used wisely, could help you achieve financial freedom faster than you ever thought possible? Could it be that the key to unlocking your next level of success isn't in working harder, but in working smarter, in using leverage to amplify your efforts? Now, let's get practical. How can you start applying the principle of leverage in your life right now? It's not just about taking out loans or borrowing money. In fact, that's often the last step for those who understand leverage. It starts with leveraging what you already have. Think about your skills, your knowledge, your relationships. How can you leverage these assets to create more opportunities, more wealth, more impact? For example, let's say you're starting a business. Do you try to do everything yourself? The marketing, the sales, the operations? Or do you leverage the expertise of others, hiring the right people or outsourcing tasks to free up your time for the things that matter most? This is how multimillionaires think. They know that time is their most valuable asset, so they use leverage to multiply their efforts, freeing themselves up to focus on the big picture. But here's another layer to consider: spiritual leverage. What if, just like we use financial or time leverage, we could also leverage our faith? What if trusting in God's provision and wisdom could amplify our efforts in ways we never imagined? Proverbs 3 verses 5 to 6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." Could it be that the ultimate form of leverage comes from letting go of our need to control everything and trusting in a higher power to guide our decisions? Here's something to think about. When you're aligned with your purpose and leveraging your faith, your time, and your resources in the right way, doors that once seemed closed suddenly begin to open. Opportunities that once felt out of reach become attainable. Because you're not just relying on your own strength. You're using the power of leverage to amplify your impact, and you're trusting in something greater than yourself to guide you. But let's be clear, leverage is not without risk. Multimillionaires don't use leverage carelessly. They know that when it's misused, leverage can lead to financial ruin. That's why the Bible warns us about becoming slave to the lender. The key is to use leverage wisely, to always be aware of the risks, and to never take on more than you can handle. It's about being strategic, about calculating your moves, about making sure that the leverage you're using is working for you, not against you. So, let me ask you again, are you using leverage in your life, or is leverage using you? Are you maximizing the resources available to you, your time, your skills, your relationships, to create the life you want? Or are you stuck in a cycle of doing everything on your own, feeling overwhelmed and burned out because you haven't yet discovered the power of leverage? Here's a challenge. Over the next few days, take a close look at your life and your finances. Where can you start using leverage more effectively? Maybe it's in your business, where you need to start delegating tasks so you can focus on growth. Maybe it's in your personal finances, where you can start thinking about smart, strategic ways to use other people's money to build your wealth. Or maybe it's in your relationships, where you can begin to surround yourself with people who can help you reach your goals faster. Whatever it is, remember this: the most successful people in the world don't achieve their goals by themselves. They use leverage wisely, strategically, and with a deep understanding of its power and potential. And when they do, they're able to accomplish far more than they ever could on their own. So, what's stopping you from using leverage in your own life? What's holding you back from multiplying your efforts, from tapping into the power of collaboration, from trusting in a higher power to guide your path? Could it be that the key to your financial freedom is not in doing more, but in leveraging more? It's a question worth considering as you move forward on your journey to prosperity. Now, let's talk about a concept that truly sets the wealthy apart from everyone else: the long-term mindset. Have you ever noticed how many people are chasing after quick wins, instant gratification, and overnight success? How often do you hear someone say they want to get rich fast, hit it big with one lucky investment, or find that one shortcut that will make everything fall into place? But here's the truth: how many of those people actually achieve lasting success? And even if they do, how many of them manage to hold on to it? The Bible, in Proverbs 21 verse 5, offers a principle that multimillionaires live by: the plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. Think about that for a second. It doesn't say that fast success is impossible, but it warns us that haste, rushing without proper planning, almost always leads to loss. The wealthiest people in the world didn't build their fortunes by focusing on short-term gains. Instead, they played the long game. They built their wealth steadily, with patience, persistence, and a clear vision for the future. So, let me ask you, are you thinking long-term, or are you caught up in the rush for instant results? Consider this: what if true wealth isn't about how much you can accumulate today, but how much you can grow over time? What if the most important factor in building lasting prosperity isn't speed but direction? Multimillionaires understand that wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. They know that real success doesn't come overnight. It's built slowly, steadily, brick by brick. And here's something important: the process of building wealth is just as important as the outcome. The lessons learned along the way, the habits formed, the mindset developed. These are the things that lead to lasting prosperity. But here's the thing: we live in a world that encourages instant gratification. We want everything now: fast food, fast fashion, fast success. We're bombarded with messages that tell us we should have more, do more, be more, and we should have it all immediately. But multimillionaires, the ones who've built wealth that lasts for generations, they think differently. They know that patience is a powerful force. They know that what is built slowly is built to last. Could it be that this is the secret that separates those who create true abundance from those who chase fleeting success? Think about it this way. Imagine planting a tree. You don't plant a seed today and expect to have a fully grown tree by tomorrow. You water it, nurture it, give it time to grow. And as the roots deepen and the branches stretch out, that tree becomes strong, resilient, capable of withstanding storms. The same is true for your wealth. It needs time to grow, time to take root, time to become something strong and lasting. The question is, are you willing to be patient? Are you willing to trust the process, knowing that the seeds you plant today will eventually bear fruit, even if it takes longer than you expect? Let's look at it from another angle. Multimillionaires think about their wealth in terms of legacy. They're not just focused on how much they can make this year or next. They're thinking about the long-term impact of their decisions, not just on their bank accounts, but on their families, their communities, and the world. They understand that building true wealth means thinking about the generations to come. So, let me ask you, are you thinking about the legacy you want to leave behind? Are your financial decisions today setting you up for long-term success? Or are they driven by the desire for immediate gratification? Here's a powerful question. What would your life look like if you started thinking like a multimillionaire today? What if, instead of focusing on short-term gains, you began to adopt a long-term mindset in everything you do? How would that change the way you approach your work, your investments, your relationships? The Bible teaches us that the diligent, those who are patient, consistent, and purposeful, will eventually profit. So, the question isn't whether success will come, but whether you're willing to wait for it, to work for it, to let it grow in its own time. But let's be real, patience isn't easy. In a world where we can have almost anything we want with the click of a button, waiting for something feels uncomfortable, even painful at times. We're conditioned to want results now, and when they don't come, it's easy to feel discouraged, to give up, or to shift our focus to the next shiny object. But multimillionaires know that staying the course, even when it's difficult, is what separates those who thrive from those who fall short. Could it be that the success you're seeking is just around the corner, but you haven't stayed on the path long enough to see it? Think about this. Every multimillionaire was once in a position where they weren't sure if their efforts would pay off. They faced setbacks, challenges, and moments of doubt. But they kept going, not because they had a guarantee of success, but because they believed in their long-term vision. They knew that real wealth isn't built overnight. They knew that the time, energy, and resources they invested today would eventually pay dividends, not just for themselves, but for their families and communities as well. Are you willing to do the same? Here's another question. How would your life change if you started thinking 10, 20, or even 50 years into the future? If you made decisions today with the mindset that you're building something that will last for decades, what kind of habits would you start developing? What kind of opportunities would you pursue? The Bible's wisdom is clear. The plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. The choice is yours. Will you take the time to plan, to be diligent, to think long-term? Or will you fall into the trap of chasing quick, fleeting success? Let's get practical for a moment. How can you start applying this long-term mindset in your life right now? One way is to think about your goals in terms of impact rather than just income. What kind of impact do you want to have in the world? What legacy do you want to leave behind? When you start thinking this way, you'll find that your decisions become more intentional, more purposeful, and ultimately more rewarding. You'll start investing not just in things that bring immediate returns, but in things that will continue to grow and multiply over time. Think about your investments, not just financial, but emotional, relational, and spiritual. Are you investing in things that will bear fruit in the long run? Are you building relationships that will stand the test of time, businesses that will thrive even after you're gone, habits that will continue to benefit you for years to come? Or are you focused on short-term wins that may feel good in the moment but leave you empty in the end? Here's another powerful way to think about it. Multimillionaires understand the power of compounding. Not just compounding interest, but the compounding effect of their decisions, their habits, their investments. Every small, consistent action they take today builds on the one before it, creating a snowball effect of growth and success. Are you allowing the power of compounding to work in your life, or are you sabotaging your long-term success by focusing on the short term? As you reflect on this, ask yourself, what would change in your life if you stopped chasing quick wins and started building something that lasts? What if you committed to a long-term vision, knowing that while the results may take time, they will come if you stay diligent, if you stay patient, if you stay focused on the bigger picture? The Bible teaches us that haste leads to poverty, but diligence leads to profit. So, what's it going to be? Are you willing to embrace the long-term mindset, to trust that the seeds you plant today will grow into something far greater than you can imagine? The choice is yours, and the rewards, well, those are beyond anything you can dream of right now. As we continue this journey into the principles of wealth, let's talk about something that many overlook in their pursuit of success: ethics. When you think about wealth, what comes to mind? Power? Influence? Freedom? All of these may be true, but what about responsibility? Have you ever considered that with great wealth comes a profound responsibility, not just to yourself, but to others? Proverbs 22 verse 16 gives us a powerful reminder. Whoever oppresses the poor for his own increase and whoever gives to the rich, both come to poverty. What does that mean? It means that wealth, when accumulated through unethical means, is destined to fail. The Bible tells us that true wealth is built on a foundation of justice, fairness, and integrity. So let me ask you, are you building your success on solid ground, or are there cracks in the foundation? Let's be real. In today's world, it's easy to get caught up in the idea that the ends justify the means, that as long as you're making money, it doesn't matter how you get there. But multimillionaires who follow biblical principles understand something different. They know that how you make your money is just as important as how much you make. They understand that integrity is non-negotiable, that treating others with fairness and respect is essential not just for their reputation, but for their long-term success. So, let me ask you again. Are you living by the principle of ethical wealth building, or are you cutting corners, taking shortcuts, or exploiting others in your pursuit of financial gain? Here's something to consider. When you build your wealth ethically, you create something that lasts. It's not just about following the rules, it's about doing what's right even when no one is watching. It's about making decisions that not only benefit you, but uplift those around you. Think about the multimillionaires who are known for their generosity, their commitment to fair business practices, and their efforts to improve their communities. Their wealth doesn't just enrich their own lives, it creates a ripple effect of positive impact. Could it be that their long-term success is directly tied to their commitment to ethical wealth building? Now, let's get a little deeper. How does ethical wealth building actually look in practice? It starts with how you treat people. The Bible warns us not to oppress the poor for our own gain. That means we can't exploit others for profit, whether through unfair wages, dishonest business practices, or taking advantage of those who are vulnerable. Think about it. Have you ever worked for someone who treated you unfairly, who made you feel like your value didn't matter as long as they were making money? How did that impact your view of them, of their business, of their success? The truth is, unethical practices may bring short-term gains, but they also bring long-term consequences. And those consequences often include the collapse of what was once thought to be an unshakable empire. So, what's the alternative? How do you build wealth ethically? It starts with seeing every person, whether they're an employee, a customer, a partner, or someone in your community, as someone who deserves dignity, respect, and fairness. It's about creating win-win situations where everyone benefits, rather than one party winning at the expense of another. Multimillionaires who follow biblical principles know this. They don't just ask, "How can I get more?" They ask, "How can I help others succeed while I succeed?" It's a shift in mindset that not only builds trust and loyalty but also lays the foundation for long-term prosperity. Let me ask you this. How do you feel about the way you're building your wealth? Do you feel good about the decisions you're making, the way you're treating people, the impact you're having? Or is there a part of you that feels uneasy, that knows deep down you might be compromising your values for the sake of financial gain? It's a tough question, but an important one. Because the truth is, the way you accumulate your wealth will ultimately determine whether that wealth lasts or crumbles. Think about some of the greatest financial collapses in history. They weren't caused by a lack of money or opportunity. They were caused by greed, dishonesty, and unethical behavior. People who were so focused on making a profit that they forgot about the importance of integrity. But here's the good news, you don't have to follow that path. You can choose to build your wealth on a foundation of ethics, integrity, and respect for others. And when you do, you'll find that not only does your wealth grow, but so does your sense of fulfillment, your sense of purpose, and your impact on the world around you. Here's something else to think about. Ethics in wealth building isn't just about what you avoid, it's about what you pursue. It's about seeking out opportunities to do good, to make a positive difference with the resources you have. It's about seeing your wealth not as something to hoard, but as a tool to create positive change. Think about the multimillionaires who are known for their philanthropy, their efforts to uplift the poor, to support education, to improve healthcare, to create opportunities for those who wouldn't have them otherwise. They're not just building wealth for themselves, they're building wealth for the world. What if you could do the same? So, let me ask you again, what kind of wealth are you building? Is it the kind that's built on a foundation of ethics and integrity, or is it the kind that's built on shaky ground? Are you making decisions that will not only benefit you but also benefit those around you? Or are you so focused on your own success that you've lost sight of the bigger picture? These are tough questions, but they're worth asking. Because the truth is, the wealth that is built ethically, that is built with integrity, is the wealth that lasts. Let's take a moment to reflect on the kind of world we want to create with our wealth. Do we want a world where the rich get richer at the expense of the poor? Or do we want a world where wealth is a force for good, where success is shared, where opportunity is created for everyone? The Bible is clear. Oppressing the poor, exploiting the vulnerable, cutting corners for the sake of profit, these things lead to poverty, not just for those who are oppressed, but for those doing the oppressing. But when we build our wealth with ethics, when we treat others with fairness and respect, when we use our resources to uplift and empower, we create a legacy of abundance that goes beyond ourselves. Here's another powerful question. What would your life look like if you committed to building your wealth ethically? If you made a decision today that every financial decision you make would be rooted in fairness, justice, and respect for others? How would that change the way you do business, the way you treat people, the way you invest your resources? Could it be that by aligning your financial goals with your values, you're not just creating wealth for yourself, but for generations to come? Think about the impact you could have. Think about the lives you could change. Think about the trust, the loyalty, the respect you would earn by being someone who builds wealth not just for personal gain, but for the greater good. This is what multimillionaires who follow biblical principles understand. They know that their wealth is about more than just dollars and cents. It's about creating a legacy of integrity, of fairness, of positive impact. And that kind of wealth, the wealth that is built on a foundation of ethics, is the wealth that truly lasts. So, as you continue on your journey to prosperity, remember this. It's not just about how much wealth you accumulate, but how you accumulate it. Are you building your success with integrity, with fairness, with respect for others? Or are you cutting corners, compromising your values, and focusing solely on your own gain? The choice is yours, but remember this: wealth built on a foundation of ethics is wealth that will stand the test of time. And in the end, that's the kind of success that truly matters. Now, let's talk about something that truly transforms wealth from being just a personal accomplishment to something far greater: social responsibility and philanthropy. Think about this for a moment. What is the true purpose of wealth? Is it to accumulate as much as you can, to live in luxury, to secure a comfortable life for yourself? Or is there something more, something deeper, something that transcends the idea of wealth as a means to an end? The Bible gives us a clear answer. Wealth has a higher purpose. Proverbs 19 verse 17 says, "Whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they have done." This verse reveals a profound truth that multimillionaires who understand biblical principles live by. Wealth isn't just for you, it's for the world. The more you give, the more you help others, the more you contribute to society, the more your wealth grows, not just in material terms, but in ways that impact lives, create legacies, and transform the world for the better. So, let me ask you, how are you using your wealth today? Is it simply for your own gain, or are you using it to uplift others, to make a difference, to create positive change? Think about the multimillionaires who are celebrated not just for their financial success, but for their generosity, their philanthropy, their commitment to giving back. People like Warren Buffett, who pledged to donate the majority of his fortune to charity. People like Oprah Winfrey, who has used her wealth to fund education, healthcare, and empowerment programs across the globe. These individuals understand that wealth is not just about having more, it's about doing more. And they know that their true legacy won't be the billions they've earned, but the lives they've touched, the communities they've uplifted, the opportunities they've created for others. Could this be the secret to true abundance? Not how much you can take from the world, but how much you can give. Here's something to reflect on. What if the true measure of your wealth isn't in the size of your bank account, but in the number of lives you've impacted? What if your prosperity was directly tied to your generosity? The Bible teaches us that the more we give, the more we receive, not just in material wealth, but in fulfillment, in joy, in the richness of life. Imagine this. You wake up every day knowing that your wealth is making a difference, that because of you, people have food to eat, a place to live, access to education, and hope for a better future. Isn't that a far more meaningful measure of success than just accumulating more for yourself? But here's the thing. Philanthropy isn't just for the wealthy. You don't have to be a multimillionaire to make a difference. In fact, the most meaningful acts of giving often come from those who don't have much but give anyway, because they understand the power of generosity. Think about the widow in the Bible who gave her last 2 coins, and Jesus said she had given more than anyone else because she gave out of her poverty. What if the real power of wealth isn't in how much you give, but in the heart behind your giving? What if the impact you make doesn't depend on the size of your fortune, but on the size of your willingness to serve others? Let me ask you something. How would your life change if you started seeing your wealth, no matter how big or small, as a tool for positive impact? What if you began to use your resources not just for your own benefit, but to lift others up? Could it be that by shifting your mindset from accumulation to contribution, you'd unlock a level of abundance and fulfillment you've never experienced before? What would happen if you truly embraced the idea that wealth is a gift, and that the more you share that gift, the more it multiplies? Here's another question. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? When your time on this earth is done, Will people remember you for the money you made, or for the lives you changed? Will they remember you for your possessions, or for your generosity? The multimillionaires who understand biblical principles know that their legacy isn't in the mansions they own, the cars they drive, or the numbers in their bank accounts. Their legacy is in the scholarships they fund, the hospitals they build, the people they help rise out of poverty. And here's the most incredible thing. The more they give, the more they seem to receive. Could it be that the true secret to wealth is giving it away? Think about it. When you give, you're not just helping others, you're creating a ripple effect that goes far beyond what you can see. Your generosity can inspire others to give, to contribute, to make a difference. And that ripple effect, that legacy of giving, can change the world. Could it be that your wealth has the power to create a movement, to spark a chain reaction of kindness and generosity that transforms lives, communities, even nations? Let's make this personal for a moment. Imagine your life 10, 20, 30 years from now. What do you see? Do you see yourself surrounded by luxury, isolated in your success, focused only on what you have? Or do you see yourself surrounded by people whose lives you've changed, people who are grateful for the opportunities you created, the doors you opened, the hope you gave them? What would it feel like to know that your wealth made the world a better place? That because of you, people are living better lives, achieving their dreams, and passing on that legacy of generosity to future generations? But let's be honest, giving isn't always easy. There's a part of us that wants to hold on to what we have, that fears if we give too much, there won't be enough left for us. But here's the truth. The more you give, the more you receive. Not just in terms of money, but in terms of joy, fulfillment, purpose. The Bible teaches us that whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously. So, let me ask you, what kind of harvest do you want to reap? Are you sowing seeds of generosity, or are you holding back, afraid that giving will leave you with less? Here's the truth. Wealth that is hoarded stagnates, but wealth that is shared multiplies. The multimillionaires who have built lasting legacies of prosperity understand this. They know that giving is not a loss, it's an investment. An investment in people, in communities, in the future. And the return on that investment is far greater than anything money could ever buy. Could it be that by embracing the power of giving, you're not just unlocking the door to financial abundance, but to a life of deeper meaning, purpose, and joy? So, as we wrap up this journey through the principles of biblical wealth building, I want to leave you with this final thought. Wealth is not the destination. It's the vehicle that allows you to make a difference, to leave a legacy, to create a better world. And the more you give, the more that vehicle grows, the further it can take you, and the more people it can carry along the way. So, what will you do with the wealth you've been given? Will you use it for yourself, or will you use it to change the world? The choice is yours. But remember this, the most successful people in the world are not the ones who have the most, they're the ones who give the most. They're the ones who understand that true abundance comes not from what you keep, but from what you give away. Your wealth is a gift, and the more you share it, the more it multiplies. So, I challenge you, step into the power of giving. Use your wealth to create a legacy that will outlive you, a legacy that will change lives, a legacy that will make the world a better place. Because in the end, that's what true wealth is all about.